Obviously, the story of the day from the trade deadline was the Cavs cleaning house. Jay Crowder was traded. Isaiah Thomas was traded. Channing Frye was traded. D. Wade was traded. D. Rose was traded. And while, let me say, the memes and pictures on Twitter and Instagram were hilarious, we do need to break down what it actually means. And I think it's very clear what it means. Now, there's a bunch of experts who are going on FS1 and ESPN and saying, oh, the Cavs got younger and the Cavs got more athletic and they got better defensively. And this is, even if they don't beat Golden State, this is a better team to play Golden State than what they had. Really? Are we buying the LeBron James is that great in the East, is that terrible hype that much that that's how we're going to define this? Let me put something into perspective. LeBron James, as great as he is like an employee. No, he's not like an employee. He is an employee. He is employed by Dan Gilbert, who is the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And no matter how great of an employee you are that. You are the employee. And LeBron is, I will give him, he is a once-in-a-lifetime employee. He is, without trying to reference the dead in a negligible way, he is like Steve Jobs. But let's imagine he is Steve Jobs. And let's say Steve Jobs is considering leaving Apple. Well, let's see. Steve Jobs leaving Apple, let's say that even has the implication of he takes the iPhone. When LeBron leaves, he's taking his points, he's taking his rebounds, he's taking his assists, he is taking his production. So what do? Well, if you're Dan Gilbert, or if you're the owner of Apple, you now have to reinvest, re-strategize, and move forward without possibly your employee of a lifetime. So if you are Apple, you have to reinvest in other technologies, other media, other electronics, and move forward. If you are the Cleveland Cavaliers, you must invest in and protect your sacred Brooklyn Nets pick. You must get some of these older guys who have attachments to LeBron out. Don't be surprised if Kevin Love and J.R. Smith and other guys get traded in the offseason. Because you're not bringing this team together and these guys together simply to try better to compete with Golden State. You gave up on competing with Golden State. You know that you are completely out of their league, completely out of their class. Hell, you're having trouble not just getting blown out every other game. And as great as LeBron is, if you know he's leaving, which all signs point to him getting the fuck up out of there, you have to protect yourself. And as the owner of said company, Dan Gilbert has to worry about moving forward without LeBron James. He does. It's that simple. You want to stay just in the world of sports? Let's take Bill Belichick, who might be, if he's not number one, he's one of the top 3 or 4 employees in the NFL. What happened this year? All the stories came out, all the rumors, the reports, that he was having a power struggle with Robert Kraft. There's no power struggle with Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft is the owner. Robert Kraft makes the rules. It does not matter how good of an employee Bill Belichick is. Robert Kraft owns the team and he makes final decisions. Bill Belichick himself, Eric Mangini was on FS1, and Eric Mangini said that Bill Belichick himself said that if you don't like what the owner's doing, you go out and buy a team yourself. If you don't go out and buy a team yourself, you listen to your owner. LeBron, you could be the greatest employee of all time. It does not change the fact that Dan Gilbert is the owner and Dan Gilbert makes the decisions, and he has to move on and reinvest his company and change where his assets are. No different than Apple would have had to if Steve Jobs is leaving and Steve Jobs took the iPhone with him. Let's segue from there into something else I want to talk about. And I don't think it's getting brought up enough. And I'm only bringing it up because I feel like I called it. If you look at, I have an older video that where I predict that the Cavs would not make the finals. And this is the beginning of the season when everyone was talking about, oh my gosh, D Rose, D Wade, Jay Crowder, Isaiah Thomas. Like, they just were like, oh, they have so many good players. There's all these B players, B plus players. And then you have LeBron, who's obviously an A plus player. And everyone's like, yeah, the Cavs are going to do it again. And the East is terrible. So, not saying that I called it, but I did. Let's also take into account two things here that all of these trades show. That A, the Warriors are winning the title again this year. It's pretty much that simple. There is not a team better than them. Let's also understand, and this isn't my second point, but just throw this out there. The Western Conference Finals is the actual NBA Finals because the Warriors, and if for somehow the Rockets found a way to beat them, they are sweeping or destroying in 5 whoever comes out of the East. It's that simple. But let's also look at where is LeBron's legacy going to finish now that these trades have been made? Right? And I love the way that the general media, ESPN, FS1, local sports news, the way and sports writers, you got to get the sports writers in there, they will sit there and say something once and they will run with it for so long. And it's almost like a baton race, right? Like, they will say something and try to run with it, and just hope they can pass it off to you and be like, now you believe it, now you got to run with it. What's been the big narrative the last 2 years since LeBron won his 3rd title? LeBron's really close to Mike. LeBron is, he's statistically better than Michael Jordan. He's going to play more games than Michael Jordan. He's playing longer than Michael Jordan. He's going to have this number. He's going to be top 10 in this, top 5 in this, and he's going to go to Mars and back, and he's just going to save the planet when the aliens attack or when Kim Jong-un drops a bomb. What's wrong with calling LeBron James what he is? Which, there's a far easier comparison to give LeBron, and this is probably where his legacy will reside. In the NFL, we have this exact same issue. We have two guys who, if you wanted to compare them, they show out just like LeBron and Mike. One has tremendous postseason success, tremendous amounts of accolades, and is considered the greatest ever. Another has regular season statistics and awards and accolades that truly cannot be measured. Do we get where I'm going with this? Are we just going to act like LeBron James is not the Payton Manning of the NBA and Michael Jordan is the Tom Brady? Mike and Tom Brady have 6 and 5 rings, tremendous postseason resume, and have, even though Tom's is slightly blemished, have far better than second place. LeBron and Payton will have more MVPs. LeBron's going to win more. He has a chance to get more MVPs than Mike. Payton's got 5 MVPs, which is most of all time. LeBron's probably going to get more points than Mike. Peyton Manning has more passing yards than Tom Brady. He's got more touchdowns than Tom Brady. LeBron's going to have obviously more assists and rebounds than Mike. He is going to statistically outclass Mike in so many categories. But in the NFL, we call Peyton the greatest regular season quarterback of all time, and Tom Brady's the GOAT. But in the NBA, we fight back and forth on LeBron and Mike. Does that make sense? Someone tell me. Does that make sense to you guys? What's wrong with calling LeBron James the greatest regular season basketball player of all time? Call him what he is. Because statistically, he will end there. And really, if you want to go by that metric, really his only competition is Kareem. Kareem and him are probably the 2 greatest regular season players of all time. But the thing that makes you the greatest of all time, and yes, a large amount of it has to do with legacy and perception, is you need postseason success and championship success to go along with your regular season accolades. Obviously, Mike and Tom Brady have incredible regular season accolades. But Payton and LeBron have better. But in the NBA, we call LeBron the second greatest player of all time. Almost about to catch Mike. And if you got another title, people would consider it. But no one considers Payton getting close to Tom Brady. Okay. Just remember, when they give you a narrative and they want you to run with it, be smarter than the narrative they're handing to you. Because it's probably bullshit.